doing
Well,
it.
it's like, who are you and what is the context? Who are you? What are your desires? And what is the environment doing? We need to know both because ultimately there's a sweet spot between being foolish through acting too quickly and doing the wrong thing or being foolish by not acting. There's a sweet spot somewhere in the middle.
Right. I mean, opportunity cost in economic term.
You said something earlier about the feeling like truly alive through taking risk.
Right.
And a lot of guys are just risk averse. They're just too afraid. They need 100% assurance or they just won't go for it. I personally have just had this mode where my biggest way of taking risk has been through moving. Okay. It's been a risk for me to
Geographically.
move geographically. And I've discovered that and this talks about flow, being in a flow state, the perfect amount of challenge to match the perfect amount of skill level that you have. Moving, for me, I'm very competent at. I'm very good at I could go probably to any city in the world that in which English is the prime language and do great.
I'm moving on next week, and I should have enlisted. I have professional movie. If had I known, I'd have you out in New York moving
Oh,
my
man.
vans.
Well, I didn't mean to help other men
You'd be a
move.
very well qualified mover. I could practically. In fact, I have an MD moving my crap.
I'm, that's right.
Right.
md2move.com. Well, I meant more the psychology and the spirit of moving is truly a risk. It usually involves a new career path or a new job. It involves new relationships, new friendships, new women.
Mm.
And so that's been my way of spurring myself into taking a risk and actually enjoying it. Because I find the novelty of a new place to discover gives enough of a feel good to counter that anxiety of not knowing exactly what to do.
Right. I I remember in college I had moved off campus and I was living with a kind of a hobo. He was a very rough character, and he
The
had
guy that killed people or
no,
something?
no, no. He has no criminal record that I know of, nor do I know if he's still alive. But my girlfriend and I were searching for a place to live, and the guy approached us, and we ended up living with him for a couple months. And he had spent his life as a musician hitchhiking between San Francisco and Cambridge, Massachusetts, and he had between these two intellectual areas of the United States, and he liked the intellectual fervor, etc. But he had no money, and he basically had to rely on the goodwill of passersby or car, travelers to bring him back and forth. And I was living with him. I was at Harvard at the time, and he was living in Cambridge. And he said, "You know what? I've been living in this community for 20 years, and you Harvard types are so soft." He said, "You guys learn all this like highfalutin academic stuff, but you have no sense of like the real people out there and how people make a living and the hardship and etc." He said, "It'd be good for you to take a trip cross country, just on your back, so to speak." And he convinced me to hitchhike from Boston to Los Angeles. This was 1995, and I did it, and it was a risk. There were dangers along the way, but it was a planned risk. I got advice from him. He taught me how to hide my money. He taught me that bring a sleeping bag, certain provisions I need to take. He taught me where to find rides to travel with truckers mostly, how to go. And he gave me the confidence, kind of in a big brotherly way, to say, I've done it many times. He had been back and forth about 20 times. Here's what you're going to do. Follow my lead. And he set me out, and I hitchhiked at 19, or no, I was 20 then, from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Los Angeles in 8 days. And I rode with the most fascinating characters, lifetime truck drivers, ex-convicts, guys who'd actually been homicidal, etc. And they told me these stories, and they rode with me, and we saw the country from the 20 or 15 feet above the highway, and they would regale me with these incredible stories of the road, and it was a priceless experience. And yes, it was a risk, but I went on good advice from a guy who'd done it before, and I knew where I was going. I knew I'd arrive in Los Angeles to my family, and it was something I would never trade. And I don't necessarily know I could do that now at this age, but at college, in my college years, with not much responsibility, and I had the time to do it, and was young. I said, "What the hell?" And that was one of many risks I've taken that have made for a very colorful life and informed, subsequent decisions.